Well, welcome. Today's adventure is bait digging to collect some ragworm, and behind me is where I'm going to be digging. It's now an hour and a half before low tide. It's a neap tides, so it's not going to go too much further. So weapon of choice is one of these, not too big of a splayed fork, stainless steel, fiberglass handle, I should say, yeah, handle, and not too heavy. That's the main thing. You don't want it too heavy, because every time you lift up, you're lifting that weight all the time, so you definitely don't want that. Worth noting that sometimes it pays to just give these a bit of a sharpen up if possible. They get a bit blunt. If you sharpen them up with a little angle grind or whatever you've got, just to make them a little bit more sharper, it helps penetrate the ground, really. So that's the fork dealt with. I'll take 2 buckets, one for putting the worm in, normally filled up with seawater, so as I'm collecting the worms, straight in the bucket with the seawater, and at the end of the day I'll just use the bucket to get more seawater to clean between the two to get rid of the mud, so you're basically just left with the worms and not loads of mud. So that's what I use for those. Being that I'm a bit of a pansy these days, I use one of these now. Never used to. I used to be a manual worker. Since going into a 50 split sort of thing out on site in office, I use one of these. So just on one hand. Now the key is this hand here, if this is how you hold your fork, that stays on the handle. Do not let go of that handle. That there is for putting down and for collecting the worms. So that way you've only ever got one hand dirty, which is with the glove on. And this hand on the handle stays clean. There's nothing worse if you keep swapping between your 2 hands and getting muck all over your handle, all up the shaft and all over the place. There's nothing worse. It's all about keeping yourself clean as well. You know, otherwise it's just a nightmare. You start getting caked all up your top if you've got it all over your hands. When you want your nose, it's all over your face, sort of thing. So that's the way to do it. It takes a bit of knack to do that. It takes a bit of practice, but the more you do it, the better it gets. And before you know it, you just don't take your hand off. You're constantly like this, digging away, using that hand. So it's not long now. Out there, going to give it a go. And when I get out there, I'll probably show you what I'm doing. This is just my way. You might have different techniques of doing it, but this is my way and it works for me. Well, I've started digging. You can probably see the trench I've stopped laid. So I'm just going to keep going at this trench. I've had just put one worm so far. Just take little bits like that. Nothing too big, because it only makes life hard for you. So just that, a little bit, and a twist and turn. Quick rake through, see if there's anything there. Again, little bites, nothing too big. It only puts more stress on your body and you get knackered a lot quicker, especially if you're unfit like I am. Let your weight do the work. And there's one, very nice. Give him a quick wash off so you can see it. So there we go, there's one there. Hopefully the very of many. Bring the bucket nearer me. So once you find a few, you're normally good for a few worms out of that location. So I'll just give it a little bit of wiggle if I can feel the stone down there. And I don't need to lift it too hard, it's literally just turn it over. As you probably can see, clean hand, dirty hand. Keep it like that. It is quite hard going in this where there's no real nice mud. Ooh. If it was mud I was digging, I'll be standing in that hole now. I'll be standing in it like that, and I'll be going like that, digging it out, digging it that way, and almost going like that, twisting it, skewering it out. But as it's not mud, then I'll tend to go on top to help get the fork down. It's certainly hard, this gear. I think I'll come around this side. It seemed a bit softer here. There we go. Softer. Good. I had plenty of those boys all day. They're in the softer ground by the look of it, which is good. So I'll work this way, I think. It seems to be a little bit softer. Not a lot, but a little bit. Yeah, we're starting to get a few now. Don't go too mad at it. If you see one of its head popping out, don't pull its head off. Just ease them out, break the water away. Oh, sorry, break the mud away. I don't know what it's like where you lot dig, but it's not easy going. I'd much prefer soft mud, but can't always be choosy, can we? Come around here a bit. I don't know what you boys are paying and girls are paying for a pound of rag, but it's about £12–13 where we are. I know some areas they do it by worm count, but here in Portsmouth we do it by the weight. And I believe Southampton way, which is only a few miles down the road, they do it by the worm. And if you go east towards sort of Southampton way, that way, they do it by the worm, I believe. I don't know why in Portsmouth we've done it by weight, but that's all I've ever known. Which I think some way is slightly better, because if you do it by the worm count, you might always get really big worms, and other days you might get really small worms. But if you do it by the weight, generally you get a bit of mixture of both. I think I'll take a move on this one. It seems to be getting a little bit harder. I'm going to go just down in the distance there, a bit further out. Hopefully it's a bit softer. Okay, just want to show you how I've been getting on. Been digging a fairly decent sort of hole now. I've got to mention, don't forget to backfill after you've done your hole as best you can. Leaves it for a good person of yourself if you do, and leaves for more digging later on and a bit more respect for the old environment. But anyhow, that's enough of that. Just a few to get going with, not many yet so far, but this is what I want to mention here, is this: when you've got a forkful there and it's your worms sticking out like that, just don't grab it, just peel it away. That's why it's handy having the gloves, like that, and just ease it out. So there we are. Otherwise you're just going to end up with two worms, and that's no good if you've got two worms split. You always want to keep it as one. So I can keep digging. Oh, tide's gone out now, a lot better, probably pretty much low tide, but I'm getting a few worms around here now, so I'm going to stay where I am. Well, I've got about half a pound or so now. But the water's getting quite dirty, sort of thing. So I'm going to have a little clean out, just freshen them up a little bit with a bit of fresh water. As you can see, it's getting quite murky. I don't know if you can see that there, sort of thing. It's pretty horrible. So I'm just going to freshen them up a bit of fresh water, without some of this mud and gunk and all the rest of it. Just to try and keep them in prime condition. There's some not bad worms, you know, some real beauts in here, really, to be honest with you. But it's not, you know, I don't want to get, yeah, if you get that, some nice beauts, yeah, look at that old beauty, lovely. Some crackers in there actually, so I'm just going to scoop them out and try and freshen some of this water up, really. It's not as good as I was hoping it to be. It's been hard going in some of it, but nevertheless, I do enjoy it. It sort of brings back my sort of childhood, really. I was digging with my old man, and it's, you think, my old man, they always say, come on, let's just have one more dig, and then you get a couple more worms, and then you go again for another sort of quarter of an hour, 20 minutes, and then it goes dull a bit for a bit, and then you go on in, just one more dig, and then you get another worm, and off it goes again. And I'm a bit like that at the moment myself, actually. I want to stop. I only want a little bit of worm. That's all I'm after, really. Probably about half a pound, really. So I don't want to carry on too much. But it gets in you, sort of thing, really, doesn't it? You know, you think, yeah, go on, I'll have a bit more. Especially when you're getting some big beauties as well. You know, some big worms. They look absolute crackers. But there we go. So I'll leave you to it for the moment, and I'll let you know when, I'll bring you back, I should say, when I finish digging and just putting them in the medium I normally put them in. I'll put them in vermiculite. Some of them put them in peat. It's completely up to you what you want to put them in. Just do what you feel that's best, really. Anyway, I'm nearly at the bottom of this bucket now. So I'm back from digging now. I've sorted all the worms out, and there you can see that I've got them in peat. So I'm going to make those last a couple of days. So you get the peat from the top of the shoreline, and I'll just normally soak it in a little bit of seawater just to wetten it, so it keeps the worms nice and moist, sort of thing. And when I'm going to use them sort of the next day or all in the day, I tend to use vermiculite as well. I've always liked vermiculite. Purely just makes my life easier when I try and get the worm and put it on the hook. But it's personal preference, really, what you want to use. Some people use sort of crushed down shells as a medium to use, but yeah, that's what I use. So ready for tomorrow, can't wait. Off to Brighton tomorrow for hopefully a chance for a place. Hope you found the information useful for how to dig and keep clean. So please give us a thumbs up. Any comments welcome, and subscribe.